Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. I'm on my way this afternoon to see if I can find some crusty fungus to photograph. The reason I'm doing that is it means using kind of macro style photography, but I want to employ a very specific new technique that I've learned to see if it actually works, and that technique is called aperture stacking. It's very similar to focus stacking. In fact, in the post-processing at the end of it, I will do exactly the same process as I would do normally with a focus stacked image, because the stacking process is the same. But it just means that instead of using the focus to actually focus on the subject, what I'm going to do is focus on the front of a subject and then reduce the size of the aperture every now and then to create sharper, more in focus areas without moving the focus point of the shot. Obviously the problem with that is that as I reduce the size of the aperture, I've also then got to increase the size of the shutter speed, so that's going to be a challenge to make sure I get this right. But I'm on my way to my first composition now, if it's there, because obviously with it being fungus it's a bit hit or miss as to whether or not I'll actually find anything. So I'll see you when I get there. So I've got my tripod set up just there, as you can see, to try and photograph this bad boy here on the trunk of this tree. It looks a little bit interesting, and I think I can probably get a decent shot of this. So I'm going to set up the camera and take a shot of this. It's actually going to be a series of shots where I reduce the aperture with every next shot, and then obviously I'll be increasing the shutter speed to make sure I keep the light on this as uniform as possible. So I'll give this one a go and I'll show you the images now. I'm just going to put some of those raw files on the screen now for you to see exactly what I've done. Notice I've put the aperture and the shutter speed on the file as well, so you can see in sequence as I reduce the size of the aperture from f1.8 to f2, then I'm also increasing the shutter speed from 1/160th of a second to 1/125th of a second, and then as I decrease the aperture to f2.2, I'm then increasing the shutter speed to 1/100th of a second, and so on and so on. And like I say, the reason for that is to ensure that I've got the same uniformity of light all the way through the separate images. But I'd like you to, while you're looking at these images, just to have a look at the difference it makes to the background as more and more of the image comes into focus. The idea is that when I'm focused just on the funguses themselves, what I'm going to do is make those very, very sharp in the image, and leave the unsharpened background at the very back, and you'll see the difference that makes when I show you the fully edited image at the end of this. I'll tell you what I'm looking for here, folks. Every time I see the broken stump of a tree, either a branch or literally just a lump of something that's come off the tree lying around on the woodland floor during the autumn like this, there's an obvious opportunity for some fungus photography. There are a couple of other bits of woodwork lying on the floor here which have all got some interesting compositions on them, so I'm going to set something up here and see if I can get at least one composition here. I won't show you the incremental changes in each of the images because I've already done that once for you, but I'll show you the final image. I just spotted one shot which I thought had potential for possibly another shot of fungus. But unfortunately what I found was it was a tree stump, a big lump of tree that had been cut from somewhere else, lying on the floor, and it had obviously been on the woodland floor for a number of years and was rotting and was decaying. And obviously with the moisture on the floor and the leaves all around it, the conditions were ideal for fungus to grow in that spot. I could see as I was walking up to the tree stump that there were some white patches that looked like spores from the fungus itself, but as I got right up close to it I could see that some bastard had kicked all the heads off the fungus, so there was nothing left, just the white stains from the spores that had started to cultivate on the side of the tree. However, I do know that there's another possible opportunity just up this path here, only about 100 yards or so away, so I'll go and have a look there and see if I can find another one. I knew this spot would have potential. I spotted this tree many years ago, and I actually photographed it probably about 8 or 9 years ago for the very first time, and it's just been left here. The stump of the tree has just been left. It's obviously been cut, and there's a big piece that's been cut off just behind me here that you can see, and then just around here you've still got the original stump of the tree where it was cut from, and there are at least 2 possible compositions here that I can capture. So I'm going to set up here and capture a couple of shots here, because I know for a fact that I've got something here just by looking at it. So I hope you like these images as well. I really enjoy the challenge of photography like this, not least because I've just taken a hefty tumble in the muddy woodland. I'm not hurt, just my pride I think. I tripped over a twig that I hadn't seen and went rolling forward, landing in the mud, rolling around like an idiot. Quite embarrassing really, because there were several people walking by at the time. Luckily they rushed to my aid to make sure I was alright. I'm not hurt like I said, but it was just a little bit embarrassing, that's all. Anyway, the challenge of photography like this is that the fungus that I was looking for is very much determined by the conditions themselves. So it's always difficult to know exactly where I'm going to find a composition, and if I'm going to find a composition when I get to a spot where I think there will be one. Luckily today I knew roughly what I was looking for, and I had a few ideas of places I could go to try and capture some shots. And I noticed that a couple of times when I couldn't actually find a shot in the space I thought I was going to, that within a few yards I would be able to find another shot and complement the vlog by finding something different slightly further on. After my tumble, I've walked down towards this little brook behind me. There was mud all over my shoes, so I just wanted to dip the soles of my shoes into the water and try and wipe away some of that mud. But I'm glad I walked down here, because as I've walked along the edge of the brook, I've noticed a tree here, looks like a silver birch, with a couple of clusters of quite large fungus right at the base of the tree. So I think we're going to set up here and see if I can get one more composition, and that might be the last image of the day. That is going to be the last shot of the day then, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you don't mind that I didn't give you any footage of me falling over. I hadn't got the camera switched on at the time, so I couldn't record it. I know you would all have loved to have seen that, but yeah, that's the last image of the day. I hope you've enjoyed watching me aperture stacking. I hope it's worked out alright. I'll find out when I get the images back on the computer at home. I'm noticing now I'm shooting in the afternoon, late afternoon, and we are late October as well, so the sun now is starting to drop quite quickly on the horizon. There's probably still about an hour and a half to go before sunset itself, but as a result we're kind of in the last hour of full sunshine at the moment, and it's really dropping very fast. That means that it's becoming more and more difficult for me to keep a uniform exposure every time I alter my aperture with these shots. So I think I'm going to leave it here for today. If you've enjoyed watching this vlog and you want to see a bit more of me falling over and making an idiot of myself, then please remember to give the video a thumbs up, and also please remember to subscribe to my channel to see more of this. And if you don't mind, would you possibly leave a comment in the comment section below, letting me know whether you've done this type of photography before, whether you've used aperture stacking yourself in your photography. Doesn't matter if you haven't, doesn't matter if you don't leave a comment, it'd just be nice to hear from some of you about what you think of this. And in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.